we go. I think I see someone. Hello, how are you,
Kathy?
Kathleen? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Kathleen is muted.
Oh, I I unmuted you, Kathy. Oh, it mutes right back in. There
Oh,
we go.
she's on a commuter or something.
I'm just getting home from work, so I probably will turn my video off just so it's not so distracting until I settle.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Glad you're here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. All righty, we got Miss Michelle, we've got Becky. Welcome back, ladies. Welcome back, Simone. Welcome back, Renee and Miss Alice Marie, and our two speakers tonight, Tracy and Elam. Not in that order, but I like to say ladies first, even though tonight it's a gentleman first. We've got so much to share. It is going to be jam-packed. Not only that, we're going to go straight into it, straight into Elam, listening to what Elam has to share with us, because I know the time he's going to spend with us is going to be so riveting. There's going to be so many questions, and we only have so much time. So I want to go ahead and get started without doing all the preliminary information that I typically do. I'm going to have Jennifer start with just some housekeeping rules, boundaries, and then she's going to kick it back over to me so I can introduce our wonderful speakers for this evening.
Hello, good evening, everyone. We're so glad that you are here. Hello, Deb. Hello, everyone. We get some late rivals. You guys keep coming in. We love seeing your beautiful faces. Please turn your cameras on if you can, if you're not driving. We really can't express enough how important it is for you to be present and engaged. You're going to receive more information, so it's really a gift to yourself. You know, turn off your cell phone. Don't look at your emails. Don't try to multitask. We have a habit of doing that when we are hearing information that we might have some resistance to. So please stay present. We love you all. We want you to get the most out of this. We've got some incredible speakers for you tonight. So I'll just give it right over to you, Pam. You're muted, honey.
Thank you, Jennifer, my wonderful, fabulous, amazing co-host. I want to introduce you to our first speaker tonight. Our first speaker, or this evening, I should say, depending on your time zone, is a gentleman that I met probably, I don't know, was it like 10 years ago? I don't know, or something. It was a while ago. All I can say is the moment I met this gentleman at a vendor event, and he was partnering with Joy, who is one of our speakers for Thursday evening. Yeah, for tomorrow evening. And I met him because of a book that he was promoting. It was called Understanding a Man, and this was amazing. This book, I ended up using this book for a coaching group, and I think Michelle was a part of that group. And so, Michelle, you get to revisit Elam, and Elam gets to share some things with you that are so powerful. Not only is Elam an author once, he's an author a number of times. He has his own popular podcast. He does public speaking. He's a life coach, a relationship coach, and he is just a phenomenal gentleman. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to meet him and that he agreed to be a part of this today. So Elam, take it away.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, listen, with an intro like that, that means I gotta like really come with it and say something important. So I hope I do that tonight. So thank you guys so much for joining. First of all, Pam, hey, we go back. Pam knew me when I was just a baby, just getting started out here. My first book, I'm like, what am I doing? And then, even inside of my coaching space, definitely a resource that I went to of just certain wording, certain things to just do. So I thank you so much, Pam. You got your writers, right? Pam's like a writer, and been involved in so many projects that I had. So thank you so much, Jennifer, meeting you. Absolutely amazing. And, you're making this ride down these past 5-6 days. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. And all the speakers this week, just rocking and rolling, dropping some serious information. Look, you can go ahead and take a moment and text So I need you to call your single friends, text all of them right now. Okay. Even the married ones, but I want you to text because some of them got to hit redo, but we'll talk about it in a second. But text your single friends, okay? Let them know there's just a couple of pieces of information that might get shared that they might appreciate. So just a little bit about me, located in Atlanta, Georgia, blended family of 6. I work with couples, whether you're single, married, divorced. This is an assignment for me. Never would have thought I would have been here. So I looked up and I was like, I'm an author. Wait a minute. What is that? And then here comes another book and another, right? Absolutely love just working with individuals. My mantra is, in order for us to improve our communities, we have to improve these families. In order for us to improve these families, we have to really take a look at the education of the two people who are most important inside of that, which is the man and the woman. So that is my assignment. That's my responsibility. And that's the space that I'm going to walk down today with you. We're going to talk about dating with intention. And before I do that, just some fun facts I want to throw out there to y'all real quick. So let's see if anybody knows about these. All right. So if y'all see me look over here, my notes over here. So I got to have my notes. All right. So fun facts about dating, right? A couple will exchange house keys on an average of within 12 to 14 dates. How about that in dating? How about that on average, right? And then couples usually wait until 6 to 8 dates before they are willing to enter into an exclusive relationship. These stats come from factretriever.com. So you can go on over there, Google that if you want to. And this is regarding dating, right? The most common time for breakups is around 3 to 5 months. Anybody knew that? Interesting, right? How about that, right? Well, watch this. Happy people attract more dates. Okay, start smiling, people. All right. According to the U.S. Census, all right, so you can, and this is for there's not a lot of, and there's so many, single this, or there's not enough. Okay, there's not enough. Watch these U.S. Census stats. According to the U.S. Census, there are 95.9 million unmarried people in the United States. It's a lot of people, right? Of which 47% are men and 53% are women. That's not a big gap. That's a 6% gap, right? So they out there, okay? Because we're going to turn that mirror around and kind of look at some things, all right? Over half of all the singles in America have not had a date in over 2 years. Woo. That was just like, that's interesting, right? And I thought this one was interesting, right? Watch this. Women who post a photo on internet dating sites receive twice as many email messages as women who don't. All right. The same study found that men who reported incomes higher than $250,000 received 156% more emails and comments than those men who made $50,000 or less. Thought that was interesting. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, just some of the fun facts that are out there, just really in dating. And so, just being in this space, I'm constantly asked, certain questions or whatever. One of the first questions I'm normally asked is, what can I do, right? To enter into this dating space. And so we're going to talk about some of those spaces and with, the definition. I want to start with dating with intention, right? So what is that, right? And along that same site, it just talks about what dating with intention is. So dating with intention means knowing what type of person you're looking for and what you want out of dating. And I would actually put an addendum to that. And I would say that more leading towards marriage, right? That's the reason why we're dating for intention, right? And so I get asked, what the men want, what the women want. And I want to start off by saying that let's just take that there's no silver bullet that sits in there of what men want and what women want, right? And I like to share that what women want, what men want when regarding dating and being with that person, what they want is what that person wants. Because everybody doesn't want the same things, right? There's no blanket that's out here, right? However, there are some things so the one person that you can control inside of the dating space is yourself, right? And so in walking down that space, sometimes people start turning their nose up because what I'm going to do tonight is I want to turn that mirror around, right? Because a lot of times we start looking out as like, what do they need to do? What do they need to do? And we're going to look at you and some of the things that if you want to walk inside this space of dating with intention, that of things that you might want to look at inside of yourself. But I want you to understand that in dating period, and when you're taking this walk, understand that number one, there's some looking in the mirror that we have to do. All right. So that's the first piece that we have to accept. And I had, Pam, Jennifer, I had this meme that I was going to put up here, and it was a lady, right? And because I couldn't find one for the men, I didn't want the ladies to think I was picking on them. But this meme actually could have gone for both sides, where it said, it was a lady saying, you know what I need to do is work on myself. And then underneath it said, nah, never mind. That doesn't make sense. And it had her slapping herself on her face. And so I want to say to you that whether men or women, if you're having some challenges inside of that space, perhaps I can share something today that allow you to kind of take a look. You also want to recognize that it's going to be in God's timing, right? We don't know whether that's something that, you now is your season to be dating, right? So that you do have that factor in there, that divine portion that exists inside of that, of his timing that exists in there. I want you to understand that it's a process, right? And that, perhaps you might have been in one space before, but maybe there are some things that you might need to iron through before we can really get inside of the space of just being in a committed situation and walking towards marriage. And I want to also share that, got to make sure I say this correctly. Everybody doesn't qualify to be married. Right. So when we're dating with intention and walking down a certain space, I know some people sometimes don't like to hear it, but everybody doesn't qualify. It's almost like being wealthy, right? Everybody doesn't qualify for that. And just because you're a great and nice person and you look amazing, absolutely, that's great. But there are some other intricate items that go in here. And so let's kind of dive on into that, because I got about 2 hours that Pam and Jennifer gave me. So we're going to be on here for about 2 hours. Okay, so let's go to the two types of dating that's on here, right? So the first type, really quickly want to talk about, there's two types of dating that really exist out there, right? You got dating for entertainment, and you got dating with intention, right? Okay, dating for entertainment. And both of these carry responsibilities, right? Dating for entertainment, AKA casual dating, right? And so the responsibilities that include inside of that, when can you do this or whatever? You can really date for entertainment at any given point, right? Anytime, right? You're grown, you want to go out, let somebody take you out. I know in Atlanta, we got foodie calls, right? When somebody call you up and invite you out and you just want to eat, that's called a foodie call, right? So we got the foodie calls that exist out there. You just want somebody to take you out to eat, right? We have some other types of calls that people, let's be grown here. Some people just want to do, that's what you want to do from an entertainment perspective. That's on you, right? And this is the space that the responsibility I would say that exists inside of here is that, you're not in a commitment. You're not looking to be in a committed space. So the responsibility I would say that exists here is just making sure that the other person knows that, right? So that, you want to date for entertainment, you just want to hang out, kick it, whatever case it be. Hey, you're at liberty to do that, right? You grown, but just make sure that the other person knows that that's what you're looking to do. So it's pretty simple when it comes to dating with entertainment, just being safe. Even if we're involved intimately, making sure that we're putting the parameters in place to be safe there as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that we keep that in mind, that the other person should know and that we want to be safe, right? And so that's the easy one. All right, that's the one that doesn't carry too many responsibilities, right? But now let's kind of shift over a little bit to dating with intention, and what goes with that. And there's two components that this pretty much carries. And I want to start off by saying that you have to understand that this space takes you having an understanding of yourself, right? And what direction you want to go in. You have to be able to give God something, and whatever you believe in, universe, but you're going to hear me talk about God periodically on here. If you don't like it, that's on you, right? But you have to give him something to breathe into, right? And something to work with, right? And so you have to be that vessel to be able to give him something to go with, right? And then there's also these, hold on, y'all. Write these words down: self-awareness, okay, and emotional intelligence. These are requirements for dating with intention, because here's the thing, with dating for entertainment, you can pick up the phone now, call somebody, go on out, right? Cool, right? But when you're looking to be in a commitment, there's a responsibility that comes in there before you start walking down that space, all right? And so the requirement is having a bigger understanding of yourself. Now, you guys heard me say in the beginning that I do, relationship coaching, right? And so I'm going to give you the down the road conversations that I have before we jump into, the who, what, when, where, and why regarding dating with intention, right? What I have experienced for some of my married couples down the road, the 5-year, the 10-year, the 15, the 20 years down the road, right? That they're in a committed situation, that the number one person that does not show up inside of most relationships is yourself. Okay. You're the person that does not show up inside of the relationship on average, is what I'm noticing. And so what we do is, because we don't have a direction, we don't have our intentions lined up, what we do is that people then attach themselves to somebody else's expectation and then resent that person because they don't like that person's expectations. If we say that out loud, it kind of doesn't make any sense, right? But these are the couples that I'm speaking with down the road, to whereas you're just now maybe figuring yourself out or realizing who you are, right? And there is a turnaround and there's a reset that can be done in that space. But what I want to do is put you in a situation where you're not doing that reset, because that reset is painful, right? We have people that don't understand what their purpose is, right? But you've been married for an extended amount of time. We have people who don't have a compass of a direction of where they're going to go, right? We have people that don't understand how to love themselves, right? Not even to love themselves, right? And then this leads to lack of values, right? So then you're being controlled or stuck into situations that you really don't want to be in. And you get in there, you're like, wait a minute, I don't like this area. Well, let's start working a little bit more right now in the forward space, in the front space, to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a situation. Like I said, as well, I do work with people who have to turn around and hit restart, but it's so painful, right? Let's think about anybody who's on the line right now that played around when you were in college, right? Maybe you didn't take it seriously the way you really should have, right? So what happens, just like me, well, I did all right. I had a 3.0. I ain't had like nothing above. Now I wasn't really, really big. But then when you go back to school, right, in your 30s and 40s or whatever case it be, you're normally like an A student. Why? Number one, because you paying for the whole thing probably by then, right? So you're really, really focused, right? And then again, no judge, did it myself, right? And then also you recognize that there's an importance of what you're doing, right? So I want to make sure that we kind of tackle a couple of things so that you don't be way down the road and just saying, how did I get here, right? So let's start off with, the who. Okay, so we're going to go through the who, what, when, where, and why regarding dating with intention and what's important in that space, right? So let's first start off with the who, right? Who we talking about? Well, we're talking about you, right? And so, my first question would be, are you ready to date with intention? Are you ready to make a commitment, right? Are you finished playing the field? I get it. Do what you got to do, whatever case may be. But have you explored enough to be able to understand maybe some of your likes and your dislikes and maybe really kind of what direction that you want to go in, right? So have you navigated through certain things and you're ready to actually take the step to be in a committed relationship with a whole nother brain, a whole nother person, right? Now, should you choose, this is kind of like a little mission impossible with this, right? Should you choose this challenge, right? There's something that comes with it. And so people sometimes, it gets on my nerves when people say stuff like, it shouldn't have to be that hard. Dear hopeless romantic, it has responsibility. Okay, I know you want to trot on off on the horse and carriage. I get it, right? But we have to think about this. Divorce rate is 50% inside of the US. Okay, inside of the minority community, it's up to 70%. Okay, so before we start running down the line and figuring out who we want to commit with and go ahead and lock down with that person, understand that the odds are stacked against you. Okay, just cause. All right, these are the stats that you walk into. So we have to make sure that we understand that if you who is choosing to go forward with this, there's some responsibilities that's going to come with this, and you want to make sure that you're ready to do that. All right, so that's the who, right? Let's go into the what. Oh, we're going to spend some time over here. All right, what do you need to know before you date with intention? All right, number one, purpose. What is your direction? What is the reason why God has you on this planet? That's first and foremost. When I say that people don't show, that you're the person that doesn't show up first, You have to be the person that shows up first and know what is the direction that you're going to go in. What is your vision, right? Because what if the people have no vision, they will perish, right? If you don't have a vision for yourself, how are you going to tell somebody else really what your wants and needs and dislikes are, right? If you know what direction, if you know what career that you want to walk down, of entrepreneurship, military, whatever you want to choose, corporate America, right? You have to give the other person a chance of understanding who you are and where you are. God has put a talent inside of you. He's put talents inside of you. And first and foremost, you have to understand what those are so that you can let the other person know. I mean, you want to be a friend of mine. He's a doctor, right? And so, he works from 7 at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, right? So guess what? When he's out here saving lives, doing big things, whatever case it be. Well, guess what? He's probably not going to get along with the quality time person that wants to watch the news at night at 8, 9 o'clock at night, right? Now, guess what? All the bills are paid. His house is wonderful, drives an amazing car. But guess what? There are a lot of people that might not qualify for him based upon who he is. Why? Because he knows what direction and where he's going to go and giving somebody else an opportunity of walking inside of that space, right? And so understand that if there's some challenges that are existing in that space, because of the sake of time, can't go too deep into this part, but I would just ask you to perhaps, look up what a vision board is and develop one for yourself and know which direction that you're going to go in. It's only fair, and it gives the other person an opportunity of knowing, hey, where do you want to be? I always tell people do 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. Right? Where do you want to go? Know that for yourself first so that you can let somebody else know what that direction looks like for you, right? So we're talking about the first thing that you have to understand is about yourself, right? And the purpose and where you're going to go. Some of you have heard about the love languages, right? I encourage you to, go on and take the quiz, whatever case it be. Can't go into all of them right now. You can take the quiz, know what that is. Here's the thing. On average, I would say about 70 to 80% of the time when I talk with clients and I ask them, how can somebody love you? They really don't have an answer, right? They're kind of like all over the place and don't really know, right? Who's the number one person that can teach somebody who you're trying to be in a commitment with? Who's the number one person that can teach them how to love you? You, right? And guess what? They can't love you the same way that they love somebody else, right? Because it's not applicable. Right? So because all the intricate details don't exist there. So if you don't understand how you can be loved, you can't share with somebody else, exactly how to love you. And then guess what? You also can't qualify them, because just because they're a good looking person, just because the teeth are nice or they got a nice job, whatever case to be, hey, nice people don't always work together. Okay. You could be somebody else's blessing. Right? So we have to understand that love, we're talking about a baseline. It's like creating a house. You got a concrete slab. People don't just build houses and just drop the nice house on there. What do? They build that concrete slab first to make sure that there's a foundation. So your foundation is purpose. Your foundation is love, right? Knowing how you can be loved, right? Let's put on top of that spirituality, whatever, whoever, wherever you want to worship, whatever case it be, understand the importance of the spirituality and making sure that there's a congruency that exists inside of that. So whatever that you happen to rock forward with, understand that dictates your role, your values, your morals, your direction, the discipline maybe of kids in the home down the road. I mean, it's a whole host of things, right? So understand what your spirituality is, right? Between you and God or whomever you worship, right? And understand that that's something that's important. That you need to have that down and understand that, right? And have that relationship already, right? And just some of the other ancillary pieces of just understanding, where do you want to live? Don't think people don't get divorces because one person wants to live way over there and the other person wants to live way over there and they just found it out at the last minute, right? What is your intellectual stimulation, right? Your intellectual stimulation. And I'll just say, what are the things from a direction perspective of where you really want to go with, right? Do you like to be at home or do you like to go out, right? Do you like to travel or some people want to be at the house and they mad if you want to go out. Hey, we got to get that out at the beginning, right? I'm going to be in these streets, right? Or I'm not going to be in these streets, right? I'm traveling or I'm not. You got to make sure that we understand that things, right? What's the lifestyle class preference that you really want? Rock with me on this. Some people don't want to be wealthy. Okay. Some people don't want to, might not want to be upper class. Some people might not want to be middle class. Some people just want to be, just I don't want to use the word average, but they want to be in a space to whereas, maybe some of the extra means and things that it takes to get to a certain level, they don't want that. Okay. So everybody doesn't want a 10 blessings. Some people are cool with a 6. Okay. So understand if you have the tenacity and wanting to move forward and certain understand that you have to have a congruency with somebody else, but it comes first and foremost with where do you want to be from a class perspective, right? And I also want to throw in family values, right? What are the values, the direction that you want to go in, whether it's with raising of the children and dealing inside of the home, whether it's education wise, spirituality wise, you have to understand and know what that looks like, right? What are your non-negotiables? What are the things that 100% it don't matter? The moment that it happens, it's over. Like we're not going forward, right? Normally have, sometimes I hear, if somebody puts their hands on you or if they speak inside of a certain space or speak to you a certain type of way, or maybe they just quit their job and never want to get another job, right? There's certain non-negotiables that are out there that you have to know that, hey, there's only one shot on this. Right. And after that, don't think that I'm going to be around. I mean, it's OK for you to have a non-negotiable, something that 100% unequivocally has to happen and you communicating that. Right. And I always like to share with people that if you don't know what your purpose is, if you don't, know how to love yourself, if you don't know what your spirituality is, if you don't really know some of your likes and dislikes, ladies and gentlemen, it is rude to date. Stay on the entertainment side. It's rude. If you can stay on the entertainment side and date, but going down the commitment street of dating, you're rude. Because guess what? You're going to spring this stuff on somebody down the road and expect them to be like, oh, okay, now they love you or you love them. And now it's hard to kind of part ways, right? And now you're like, oh, let me see where this goes. And it don't go nowhere, right? Because if that's who the person is, you can't change anybody. It's not your responsibility, nor is it kind of possible, right? You know what I'm saying? So don't do that, right? If you know who you are, you can attract certain type of people that are in the space where they're in your pedigree. I like to say everybody's not in the same pedigree. They're not. Okay. So you got to know what your pedigree is. And so when we're speaking about what we need to know about ourselves, right, in order to proceed forward inside of a relationship. Okay, the clock is running. Let me keep on going. Hold on. Let me get I got to get my, my preacher rag right here. Okay, I got my little sweat right there. Okay, that's my preacher rag. All right. So we're going to go. So when should you date with intention, ladies and gentlemen, right? And I would say if you're not coming from a committed relationship, whenever you want to, what I'm saying? You can make the decision to want to move forward and date with intention. Having some of these factors that we're speaking about, you can do it when you want to, right? But I want to say that those of you who are coming from a committed relationship, I want to share with you that there should be some healing first. You know what I'm saying? What grandmama and granddaddy say, well, how do you get over one person, get on top of another one? That's a lie. Okay, that's not how you do that, right? You don't jump out of one committed relationship into another, right? The reason why the demise of that relationship was not all that person, no matter what happened, because either you made the wrong decision in picking the person, which is on you, right? Or something happened inside of the relationship and it's on the both of you. Right. So whether you can go 50-50, 60-40, I don't care. You had something to do with the demise of the relationship. You was in it. So you have to own that responsibility and heal through that so that you're not making the same back-to-back mistakes again. Even people who get married when they get divorced, right? The probability of the second divorce is actually higher than the first one. Why is that? Because people don't heal and they turn around and marry the exact same person again, right? So we have to make sure that we're healing before we're walking forward. So when we should move forward, make sure that that you learned what can you, besides the I shouldn't pick somebody stupid. Besides that, there's something that you can learn from the previous person, because everybody want to go there. I learned that I shouldn't pick dumb people. Well, you picked them. So what does that make you? Okay, we're gonna go on, right? So when should you date? Make sure that we know, anytime when for those who are not committed, but for those who are, make sure that we walk through some healing. A wise man remains in counsel. Make sure that you seek counsel prior to moving forward into a committed situation, right? Now, this one's kind of fun, right? Where should you date, right? Because, back in the day, it was just the regular, hey, how you doing? Can I get your phone number, right? Nowadays, we got swipe left, swipe right. .coms and all that stuff that people can do, right? And sometimes people say this is okay or this isn't okay or whatever. Listen, whatever you want to choose, all right, that's fine, right? But just, again, understanding who you are is very, very, very important, because you have to understand on some of these sites, people are giving you like their bestie, right? Y'all all heard of catfishing, right? People be putting the best picture forward. They look like that 10 years ago. Okay. So you just got to be cautious of what you do, right? Let's just keep it real, right? And just make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. And I know sometimes, we might be located inside of certain states, whether it's in New York, we'll say, or Atlanta. I remember when a movie came out a couple years ago, they were talking about how many single people are here and how many single people are there. Listen, you might not be geographically located where there might be a plethora of single people, but guess what? You can go out of town and meet your spouse, right? You can go somewhere, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you have to move. People be moving places just to try to see that there's a higher probability of single people. Well, a lot of times we have to get ourselves straight, and then the law of attraction, God's timing brings that right person to you. Perhaps maybe you haven't met that person yet because you don't qualify yet. And the only person that knows that is your creator, right? So maybe there's a little bit more due diligence that we need to do versus trying to move somewhere, right? Maybe we need to move our thoughts around first before we try to move geographically, right? Also, where is, your inner circles? It's not a bad place to go, right? Some of your friends, these are, if it's in your inner circle, these are already people who are kind of like you, right? So friends of friends, or the cousin of the friend, or the whatever case it be, that might be an option for you, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? So there's multiple different places that you can do that. Social settings, right? Networking, right? Now, this is what I like to say to people. If you're single and you're like, I need to just get out more and just start going to lounges and different places to go to, I had a friend that said, she's going to start going to polo events, right? And I was like, you don't even know how to play polo, right? But you're only going because you think these wealthy people are going to be there so that you can pull this type of person. You're going to go into a setting that you really don't belong in and attract somebody who's really not like you, right? So you start going to the club or a lounge, you meeting somebody in the club or lounge, and now you mad 6 months later because they still going to the club or a lounge. That's where you met them, right? So you have to understand that you have to make sure you go into the social settings and networks that are of your pedigree. Okay, so we have to make sure we're looking at that, right? Don't try to go outside the dots that you don't belong in, right? You got to study to show yourself approved before you go do that, right? And of course, like I said about inner circles of friends and family. So where you should do this, it's a plethora of different places. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of them, whether it's online or whatever, but just make sure you stay inside of your pedigree when you do that. All right. All right. And, last but not least, I want to talk about the why is this important. And I want to actually reference Jen Marco from Monday when she was talking. That's one of the speakers I was here. I absolutely love something that she says when she was speaking about values. And I don't want to say this wrong. So Jen, if you're on here, I'm sorry, but you said something along the lines of it allows you to make a powerful statement when you're making your choices, right? And the reason why I say this is because if you know who you are, it makes a powerful statement to somebody. Right. So those people who are insecure, those people who are trying to be in that controlling space, those people who have hidden agendas, right? When you come, and I'm not saying this is one of the things that you don't even have to bust in the room or on the first date at the table and say, this is who I am. And da, 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 da. No, it actually comes out naturally in regular conversation. And as a guy, I would say, particularly, I think we have all females on here. So yeah, I would say, ladies, one thing we know, it's an energy that we feel like this ain't nobody to play with. I got to have my stuff together if I'm going to date this person, right? And if I'm not, if I'm trying to, get over, if I'm just trying to hit, if I'm just trying to do something else, you know what? Let me move on. That's why sometimes you do get ghosted, because he's like I don't even know how to say bye to this person because they just too much on their stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. It's okay. And again, you don't have to kick the door down, Miss Independent Diva and all this and that, and I'm this and that. If you know who you are, it comes across, right? Let's think about it. Since tonight, not one time did I say to anybody, I'm just going to keep it real, how energies flow, right? Tonight, since I've been talking, The energy that I'm giving off, I sound like I know what I'm talking about, don't I? Why is that? Because I'm giving you an energy. Did I say one time I'm the bomb, I'm great, I'm the best speaker ever? No, even though, but I'm just saying that I gave y'all an energy, right? That's the same thing that you give when you're on a date, right? So that comes from the confidence. So I'm giving you a confidence because yes, I have done research. I do know what I'm talking about. So when I'm speaking, I'm not the stuttering and all this and that. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm giving you an energy. That's the same energy that comes across inside of your dating space when you know who you are, why you're here, and the path that you're going forward with, right? So I want you to understand that this is important. The biggest why on this, as I close these portions out, is because you have to give the other person a chance to sign up for who you are. You don't want to do that down the road. You want to do that ahead of time. Give them a chance. Are you going to evolve? Are you going to change? Yes. Anything that doesn't change dies, right? So are you going to evolve and change? Yes. But we want to start off on your mark, get set, bow. When that gun goes off and you're starting on the intentional dating, you want everybody to know energy. This is who I am. This is where I'm going. And you don't have to do that inside of the first date. You don't. It pops. It comes out in regular conversation, and that only happens when you know who you are and what direction that you're going in. So some key tips that I want to talk about, and that's one of the ways, and like I was just saying about how it comes out. You know what? Talk about your purpose and the direction that you want to go in, and just listen to and watch the reaction of the other person, right? If they're able to add, right? If they're able to say, ooh, and you know, whether it's a kudos, whether it's whatever, and you see them able to blend in with that conversation, here goes your pedigree, right? It's almost like tasting something and not knowing what it is and being like, somebody be like, taste this, and they be like, ooh, what is that? And they're like, okay, I can go with that. That's how the conversation goes, right? You give them a taste of who you are. And so when they taste it, you can sit and watch their face like, ooh, I'm out of my league, right? Or, you know, they'll just gracefully bow out and not be rude, right? So that's very important of just, you know, bringing up, you know, where you want to go, what you want to do, and then watch their reaction, right? A little tip that you can throw in there, right? I ask you, ladies, to gracefully insert yourself inside of their world and see how you feel in their world, right? Because of course you're sharing with them about your world, but gracefully, okay? That don't mean you run to the first family picnic, okay? It means gracefully figure out, lady, one thing y'all got, you got this thing called grace, right? If you don't know what it is, go talk to a senior woman, go talk to a married woman, go talk to a woman, right? That can show you what grace looks like, to gracefully insert yourself into their world. And then look around. Oh, this next one is big, y'all. Look around. Whatever you see, oh, Pam, I want to like put this across the big thing. Whatever you see, believe it. Don't try to change it. What you see is who that person is. They could be a really nice person. You're just like, oh, if they just, don't let that nurturing factor that you were God-given mess you up in a relationship that you can just nurture and pull him on through to the other side of what you know is a red flag, pink flag. Y'all see them flags and you just go on over it, right? Then you start having sex. Oh, let's not even go there because now you're exchanging. And now all of a sudden you're going to start women orgasms, right? They mess you up, right? Okay, they do. Right? Because then your body then begins to crave that person, and you begin to overlook those pink and those red flags because he's handling his business in the bedroom, right? But all the other rooms of your life, he's not handling, and it's messy, right? But you focus on that other one. And that's why I always want to say that this is like, I lose my man card when I say this one, right? If you really want to know about a man, don't have sex with him. It allows you to think. Now, I wouldn't want nobody to say that to anybody that I'm dating. I'm being real. But if you want to know who that person really is, don't have sex with him. It allows you to really see the red and the pink flags when you're in the world looking around and saying, I don't like this world that he's got, and I'm not going to try to change it. And when you see something that you don't like, when you see these flags and you have an understanding and know your value, get out. Get out. This is how you mess around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later. Okay. And don't tell me I'm not telling the truth, because they're my clients. Okay. 10 years later, like, I don't know how we got here. And now you're 2, 3 kids deep. And now you're like, well, we got a house and kids. Well, we've been together 10 years. Might as well go on and jump. No, you're going to be jumping out in about 2 years. Right. So I'm asking you to just understand that last one, make a decision quickly and get up out of there, because if not, you're going to place yourself in a situation where you're going to get your feelings hurt, and we don't really want to do that, right? And I want to end with saying this, because I know somebody's going to say it, so I'm just going to go ahead and say this one right here, okay, as we conclude, right? What if everything I just said, you've already done it? Every now and then you get somebody like, well, I did all that, and I did all that, and I did all those things. I'm saying to you this. This is what I want to give to you. There's something else. There's another great, amazing space that you're supposed to walk in other than thinking about the relationships. Go find that. When you find that, remember how Ruth was found working, right? So perhaps you're great in one thing and you've been rocking and rolling or whatever. And you're like, well, I'm great. And I got this and I got that. So I'm ready, right? Eggs ready. All right, let's go, right? And you looking at that clock, I'm sharing with you, maybe there's a second piece of greatness. This, some other saints that you're supposed to touch out here. And then once you go work on that second, maybe even third piece of greatness that's beyond relationship, then you find that person, right? Because remember, I said it's God's timing in the beginning, right? So we don't know if maybe down the road you're supposed to meet somebody, right? So I know they give us all these time frames when we're younger, like you should be married by this time and have a baby by this time, whatever. Let's let all that go. We're going to add that right next to climbing the corporate ladder of every company and becoming a CEO. Like how does that work for people these days, right? So, I mean, some things we were told a long time ago, and we have to kind of hit reset on them, right? And make sure that we know what's applicable for us. So with that being said, I'm only a couple of minutes of my time, but I had some other stuff, but I just want to say, dating with intention can be pleasurable. It can be fun. It could be something great, but we have to have a plan, right? This is a process. There's a responsibility, and nobody told us that a long time ago, but I'm sharing with you that there's a responsibility that comes with that. If you have any challenges, you can feel free to hit me up in the chat. You can go to elambking.com. That's where, my books are located. That's where my coaching service is located. You can click inside the contact and leave your name. And so for all those tonight, if anybody wants, I'm actually going to do this. This is for Pam. Okay, this is for Pam and Jennifer right here. I'm going to do a free 30-minute coaching session. Pam and Jennifer, you guys can drop my stuff in the chat right there. And I want you to just reference the word boundaries, and that lets me know that you were on this call. And that, then you get that free 30-minute coaching session as well. All right. And with that being said, Q&A.
Elam, I was taking such good notes, I didn't pull it up yet. So you got to give me just a second. Me just a second.
Oh, he'll be here. He'll be
good.
here.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. Elam, can you guys give a hand clap or whatever for Elam tonight? Oh my God, that was a slam dunk. I mean, I think we could have taken more, but I just don't know if I could have taken any more. It's just amazing. We have a number of questions for you, as I had expected, and we've got some raised hands, but let me first go to one of the questions in the chat because it came in early, and then we'll do a back and forth with the hand raising, okay? The first question came from Miss Tracy. And Miss Tracy says, what if men aren't approaching me? I'm ready to date.
And you know what? Watch this. The last comment that I just made is that's where I would say that maybe your space would be, right? I know what you're ready to do, right? And I know that it's unorthodox, right? But there's another piece of greatness that's in you. Sit down and let's go back and look at that vision board, right? What are some other things that we can unpack of your level of greatness that you can go to? Let's go there. Right? Go over there and unpack that one other piece of greatness in you and go full steam down in there into that space. Who knows? While you're working inside of that, you might meet a volunteer. You might bump into somebody, right? You might be on a forum or whatever, and they're like, who is she, right? So I know this a little bit different, right? But I just try to say that, I know that again, God's timing can exist there. So I would say, go get that other piece of greatness that you're in, and Ruth was found working.
I will tell you, there's probably at least three, 4 women on this call who I know that was confirmation for. I know it beyond a shadow of a doubt. So let's go with someone that here that didn't put it in the chat that had a question. I think Alice Marie, you had your hand raised.
No, I was just giving him clap.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Did anyone else? I'm going to go. If you didn't want to raise your hand, I have a question from Jennifer that Jennifer asked. What did Jennifer say?
Should I ask it?
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah. So I'm from a small farm community area, right? Been here for a long time, so I kind of know everybody around here, and I don't go to the bars anymore. So I've changed who I am significantly in the last 7 years. I am not the same person I was 15 years ago. Is there an app that you would recommend, or do you recommend, other than, because I work from home, so I'm a massage therapist other than this, so I'm not going to date my clients, but I'm wondering, do you have any ideas about different ways to meet?
Sounds like you meet people already, but I mean, I date your clients. No, but I'm just saying that it's no, I'm just playing. But that I hate to be redundant, but it's almost similar to the last answer, because the massage therapy thing is jumping off for you, perhaps even inside of the space that we're walking inside of today. But maybe there's something else. There's another piece of your puzzle that you need to be operating in, and perhaps that man is being held at bay divinely because that other piece of you needs to be tapped first before you walk into matrimony, right? Before you walk into that more of that committed relationship space. So and it's not the sexiest answer. It's not, right? And
it does confirm a lot for me, Elam, because that's exactly what I've been praying on, and that's the answer.
It's a lonely, listen, this dating with intention thing, it's a lonelier battle, right? It's almost like finding your purpose and being entrepreneur. It's a lonely space, right? You could
only if you don't like who you are, only if you don't like yourself,
right? So well, as compared to other people, right? Because you can see other people just flourishing or whatever. You don't really know. Let me share with y'all one quick thing. Don't let these streets confuse you. You got a lot of people out here that just look like they're in bliss, and they can't stand the relationships that they're in. Why? Because they did not build the foundation that was necessary for their own happiness. They're now attached to somebody else's happiness. And although you might see them on this trip and in this car and in this house, whatever case it be, they are miserable. And you're actually in a happier space where you are right now than where you think they are right now, right? So just know that, there's a cost that comes with, having an understanding of yourself. There's a cost that comes with that. And the cost is sometimes we stand alone, right? And longer than others, right? But what you're doing is longevity, right? Versus just, quick hit, couple of years married and then roll out, right? No, you're trying to be in this for the long haul. So if it takes you a couple of extra years, couple of extra months, 7 years in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot. But at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, when you look back, right, you're going to be like, you know what? I was growing that whole time so I could be ready for this person.
Thank you. Beautiful answer.
Okay, we have another question, and this question is from Kathleen. If you can do this, Elam, please address what dating after 60 years old for women and men looks like. I know you're not 60, but you've had have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, I the thing is, Kathleen, I have a lot of clients that are in that space, right? And to be honest with you, I hate to be redundant, but it doesn't change of of all the spaces that I put in there, it's the same. The only difference is that, you know, you have a smaller window to establish who you are and your direction of where you're going to go. And let's just be real, versus a 20-year-old, right? So, you know, understand that, you know, it is the dynamic I will say that exists there is that you have people who are more, as they say, set in their ways, right? And they, you know, not looking to grow beyond who they are. So those people, honestly, as soon as you meet them, believe exactly what you see, because they are not going to evolve, right? And so, you know, it is. I had a lady a couple years back. She was 60 years old. She was exactly 60, and she was just becoming an attorney. And I was just like, wow, like 60 years old, like you're just getting started. She was just starting a brand new life, right? And so, you know, she is now married now, right? But, you know, at the time she was, I think she had just got out of divorce or whatever, right? And so she started a whole new life by starting on building herself in the direction that she really wanted to go. And so I would give a similar answer to what, you know, I share with Jennifer, whatever. There's another piece of greatness in you, Kathleen. You're not done. Right? There's some more greatness that's in you. And I will share with you, go get that other piece of greatness. He gonna show up. I know it's almost so simple, but it's so difficult, right? Because I mean, it takes patience, right? It's patience in that space, right? But I've yet to have somebody else come back to me and say that didn't work. I just went and became greater, and nobody showed up. Like I haven't had that conversation yet. So Kathleen, make a liar out of me. Go be greater. Okay. And come back and tell me how it didn't work. You can put me on blast. Be like, it didn't work, Elam. I became greater and it didn't work.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for that question, Kathleen. I have a question from Claudette Hutchinson. What if a lot of men are approaching me, but they want what I have? So what do I do?
Keep it moving. I mean, it is keep it moving. I mean, again, same concept. Know who you are. Know what your pedigree is, right? If this person is coming into your space and the pedigree is they want to take, believe them, move on, right? We do have people that are out there that are like that, right? We have bad people in this world. Okay, we have people with bad intentions. Right. And so, you know, and the greater you are and the more you got, you know what I'm saying? There's a responsibility that comes with that. Right. So, you know, understand that your greatness carries a cost. And some people are trying to swoop in and take that and latch themselves onto whatever case would be. And you just have to be cognizant of that. Right. And be able to sift through there. Right. And see that when they come to the table, what are they bringing? Right. And if they're not bringing something that's of equal or higher value than what you have a decision to make.
I love it. That's what I always say, Elam. You don't have a problem. You simply have a decision to make. All right. We got a hand raised by Miss Alice Marie and then John Day.
Real quick, this is directed to Jennifer. I wanted to say I have been where you are. Can you hear me? I wasn't sure. Can you hear me? Okay. And I just wanted to say to keep moving in the direction. I'm married late in life, which you'll kind of hear about that on Friday. But how I met my husband now that I did not know was going to be my husband, I had just left church. I was on my way to do something else in ministry, and we met at the gas station. He contacted me for business.
There it is.
And it developed into a relationship, a friendship, a relationship, and now we have been married going on 12 years. So yes, as Elam said, just keep doing what you're doing. And as you are in your space being great, the person is going to come and they're going to find you.
I love that. Thank you, Alice Marie. That's very cool.
Okay, we got time for another one. How about John Day? You had a question.
Yeah, I have a quick question. This might be a needless question, but you said at some point we have to change our law of attraction if we want to be able to have a better relationship or whatnot. Pay attention to the flags. So in my case, if I am not wanting any kind of relationship right now. I'm still in the healing process. How do I change my law of attraction to avoid that? Because I still seem to be attracting the kind of men, but not the one that I'm looking for. And I'm constantly being put in a uncomfortable position with a lot of these men that are attracted. They're either too young or creepy.
Okay.
And I've been having that problem lately to that point where my son has had to step in for the creepy ones to stay away from me. And I don't know what it is I'm doing or not doing, but how do I change that law of attraction if I just want to be left alone to heal and focus on me like I've been trying to do for the past year?
Well, I would say that, the blessing and the curse is that maybe you're just great like that and you're just always attracting people forward, right? You just blessing and a curse with you, right? Okay. But the first thing that I heard you say is that this is something that you don't want, you want to heal, right? So outside of needing to contact the police because somebody is, in creeper mode like that, unless I'm looking at this too lightheartedly, you're in the driver's seat of the word no, right? And resisting these people. Now, if it gets to a legal level and somebody's still making moves like that, then whether it's your son or, the law, whatever, we can have a conversation about that offline. Would it be agitating for people to holler at you when you don't want to be hollered at? That's the cost that you pay for being a human and walking around on this earth, right? Like somebody could be attracted to you and want to holler, but the word no comes into play and you keep it moving, right? And then when you're ready to walk inside of that space, whether you want to do it entertainment wise or like I said, intentional wise, that's just that is I'm almost saying to myself, you tell somebody no, and why won't they stop? And that's we can unpack that down the road or whatever, because maybe it's how the vibe. Sometimes you think you're saying no, but you're really like being like a nice person and kind of still like, I don't want to hurt their feelings or whatever. And then they're still, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I've seen people run into that situation where you think you're saying no and you're really not, right? So I would just look at your nose and how you're presenting to somebody that you don't want to talk to them, continue forward. And if something needs to be legal, then maybe like you take that to another level. But you can't stop people from trying to talk to you if you're going to be in society, because you're in the grocery store, somebody bump your carriage and want to talk to you, right? You got to go to the grocery store, right? Or the gas station or any other place, right? So as long as you're a human on this earth and interacting with you're going to interact with other people. But I would just kind of look at how you're saying no to people and being definitive about it. And if you're doing that and it's still not working, I would probably say we would have to unpack that. Go and grab that 30 minutes and let's unpack that a little bit more, because there might be a little bit more that's inside of that for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that is great. Thank you for that question, John Day. And we are running out of time. We don't want to run into the time for our next speaker. And we do have some questions, but grab that 30-minute session for Elam. Right now, thank you, Elam. This has been amazing. As we close your session, we are going to do a drawing because it's a perfect drawing for the guests that are here tonight. Do you want to go ahead and share that, Jennifer?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, Elam, for me as well. That was beautiful. I appreciate all your insights. There's a lot there for everyone to unpack. And we have a new feature that we haven't had on any of the other Zooms yet that Pam and I are playing with to make this a little bit more entertaining and to be able to do this in between speakers. So we are going to give away a prize, which is a book that Elam has donated called Memoirs of a Father. Correct? Is that right?
Yes. Memoirs of a Father. Understanding a
my own
man, memoirs from
handwriting.
a father to his son. Yeah.
Sorry, that's me trying to write too quickly.
No,
so
that's
we've
good.
got everybody's name who was active during your speech in the prize board. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll roll that prize.